Hello. So I'm going to give you a quick video to clear up, hopefully, some of the possible confusion on saving and zipping and submitting Roboguide work cells. And I'll talk about some of the possible pitfalls. So what you're seeing here is here's my desktop, and I've got a work cell that that is the latest version of my work cell. One thing I would recommend before we start, I know in the past I've recommended saving things on the desktop, but the desktop can get a little cluttered sometimes if you have a lot of stuff on there. So I would suggest, for the purpose of this course, creating a folder, something like ELM260 work cells, and then using that folder. So I'm going to open this up. So I've got this nice clean folder with nothing in it. I'm going to drag my work cell in there. So I know that this is the correct work cell, or my latest work cell. Now what you want to do is make sure you, before you do anything, just make sure you double click it, open it up, double click that FRW file, and just take a quick look, make sure the programs are all there, and everything that you did, and make sure it all works. I'm just going to do that real quickly. Okay, we're getting close here. All right, so here's my work cell. So let's say I want to submit this. I want to make sure my shapes program is working correctly. Remember, when you go to test a program, always test it using the cycle start button. That's the way to really know if it's working properly or not. If you do it using the shift forward, it doesn't always give you the accurate speeds. It also doesn't show you the trace lines. This is always handy to be able to see the lines, so you know for sure that the program is actually tracing the lines that you think it is. And so building the program, that's in a separate video. I'm not going to go through any of that. Okay, so let's say I'm satisfied. I've got what I need. Everything's working. So always make sure you save it up here. In fact, if you try to close it, it'll prompt you to save anyway. So I just always make sure I save it multiple times. Okay, so once this closes down, I will know that I've got a work cell. So I'm down inside the work cell folder right now. I just want to go up one level. So here's my work cells folder. I know this is my latest work cell. I've just tested it. So I want to zip it. And again, the quickest way I've found to zip it, there are multiple methods, but I like to go to, if you're in Windows, you go to send to compressed zip folder. And what it does is it automatically puts it right next to the folder in the same folder, so it's much easier to keep track of it. So this is the zipped version of that. Okay, so now I've got a work cell and I've got a zip version. I know it's the latest one. I've just tested it. So I'm going to submit it on Blackboard. So if I go up here to course content, I've already logged in here, down to assignments, and this I'm going to submit under Roboguide Labs 10 to 13. Now I had already previously submitted one, so I'm going to do a start new. So this is if you want to make some corrections and resubmit it. You do that and browse my computer, and it looks like it's already in the folder. But let's say, if it weren't, this is my desktop. Here's that folder I created. So this is why it's good to have it in a separate folder. It's just there's nothing else in there other than the things I need, so it's easier to keep track of what's what. So I open and then submit, and there it is. Okay, so all right, now let's say I want to start a new. I've just submitted. I've gotten a pretty good grade, and I like the work cell I submitted. And I'm not. If you're not positive you've got the latest work cell, you can always download it back from Blackboard. So what I did is I just took those files and pulled them out of the folder. So I've got a nice clean folder. And to go back to Blackboard, you can just go back to your lab assignments, click on the latest one that you submitted, and here it is, and just click. You can click the download link over here or where it says download. And that should be the exact same thing that I just uploaded. All right, so if I click on that, it'll bring it up. And what it's done is just open the zip folder. So what I have to do is take this folder, this folder that's inside LRMate 200ID, whatever, and drag that into my Workcells folder. And that's basically unzipping it by doing that. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to open it up. Okay, opening up the Workcell. Here it is. So let's say now I've got the latest Workcell I just downloaded from Blackboard. It's the only thing. I can close this folder up. So here's my my Workcells folder. Notice I've only got one Workcell in there. So that's a good idea to just keep just one Workcell, know where it is, open it from there. Okay, so let's say I do a bunch of work on there on this. Now I've already done a bunch of programs like this main program, and I can test that, make sure it works. So again, I've got other videos that go through the process of completing these labs. So I'm not obviously going to do that now. I'm just looking at the whole process of saving and submitting. So I test the program, make sure it works. I'm just going to stop this because I know it's good. And now I'm ready to save it again. So I'm going to make some kind of change here. Let's see, maybe I'll just delete one of these programs. Just so I have something different. Okay. All right, so I just made a quick change. Now, once again, you got to save the cell. And close it. Okay, so once again, this is my latest Workcell. I'm going to zip it just to a send to compressed folder. So remember that if there's nothing else in there, then you know that once you zip that zipped version is the latest one. So I know there's been some confusion on, zipping a folder and then you pick the wrong zip folder. Let me show you one thing that happens. It's a possible pitfall. Let's say I already have a zip folder and I do a send to compressed. And different zip programs are different, but the one that's kind of built into Windows, what it does is it creates another zipped version and just puts this parentheses 2 after it. And I'm assuming if I do it again, I'll probably do a parentheses 3. Okay, so notice that if there are previous zipped folders, they stay there, and then the latest one shows up with a number next to it. So the largest number is the latest one. So just either keep that in mind, because you can certainly submit that as long as you know it's the latest one. But I'm just saying it's much simpler if you just get rid of any other zipped folders, so you know that the only one that's there is the correct one. Okay, and then right there, you're ready. You can go back to Blackboard, and maybe I'm going to submit this under Roboguide 14 to 16. Just click on that. Browse my computer. Click the zip folder. Open. And submit. Okay, so I hope that clears up any little confusion on, just give you a process that's a little more controllable. And I guess the main thing is making sure, I think probably the best thing is to make sure you've got a folder so everything is easier to see what you've got, what you're working with, and make sure you're always opening the work cell that's in that folder and working on that one and saving it back to the same place. One other thing I want to show you, let's say I open the work cell. I just open it one more time. All right. All right, so here's the work cell. Let's say I want to save it under a different name. So what I want to do is go File, Save As. Now, this is where it is going to default. It probably has a default path that looks a lot like this. There's a My Work Cells folder. So this is another possible problem. If you save it as a different name, let's say I have JH Final, I don't know, just making that up. If I just go OK, it's going to notice it's got to save it someplace different from where the current folder is. So that's fine as long as you can find it where it is. Otherwise, if you click this, you can navigate back to your folder that you created. Okay, and then that will save it into the same folder. So that's another place where you can run into problems when you're renaming files and it goes and saves it in a different folder than the one that originally it was in. Okay, I just skipped over a bunch of the startup process because it takes a long time. So the new work cell under the new name is now opened up. I'm just going to close this and it's going to prompt me to save it again. I always say yes. Why not? When saving is better than not saving. Okay, so now if I go in my work cells folder, you notice here's the original one and here's the one with the new name that I gave it. So anyway, that's one way to change the name of your work cell if you need to do that. But just make sure to pay attention to where it ends up saving when you do the save as. Okay, so I hope that all helps clear things up, and good luck with submitting.